What is up, everybody, and welcome to the PlayStation Forecast, episode 26. I am your host, Alex Derrickson, and if you are partaking in the video version, please excuse my homely attire. I've recently started to not feel so well. I've taken a bit of a southern turn this evening as ahead of me recording this, so I'm kind of in a slightly layered version of my nightly pajamas. So it's a bit more of an unprofessional look for me this week, but that's what we're rolling with. I hope you guys are doing better than I am in my current state. It's just kind of where we're at in terms of what I've been playing. Has been a lot more, more of the same from last week. It's more Fire Pro, more Spider-Man. I did manage to finish Spider-Man. I'm 68% through the trophies, I think, and like 83% towards 100% completion, something like that, in the low to mid 80s. Really just love that game. I'm genuinely going to miss it. Like, I'll have the platinum probably by the end of the week. My plan was to get it this past weekend, and that just didn't work out. I grossly underestimated how much I still had to do. And then, started working through that the last few days. When I have it done by the end of the week, just put to bed. Really going to miss it until the end of October. It seems like one of those games, like I said, I think I talked about it last week. I might just pop it in sometimes just to swing around the city and maybe do some crimes as they pop up. But spent more time in Fire Pro. I can't get enough of that game just as a wrestling fan. It's, as I've said, some few times on Twitter, and I may have said it here. It all runs together, talking about how it does such a great job at capturing, that back and forth. Like the 2K series talks a lot about, the momentum shifts and get that back and forth and everything like that. Fire Pro nails it. Fire Pro actually does what the 2K games talk about doing. And I think part of that might just be because I'm not that good at it and I don't understand the entire like nuance of it because I haven't done the tutorial that's buried in another game mode. But I like just killing 15, 25, 30 minutes in there. I did Seth Rollins versus Tetsuya Naito in a barbed wire death match, and that's the only wrestling game where I can do that. The creation community still is amazing. Like I said, that's the only game I can pull off a matchup between those two. And then things are good. I'm excited. A couple weeks. It's my backlog week that I plan on having. Get to bond with my son a little bit. Have some one-on-one time with him, and then work through some of the old backlog that's haunting me as we head into Game of the Year discussion. If you're watching the video version, I promise you I'm wearing pants. They're shorts, but you see a lot of bare leg going on here. I feel bad. It's it's a low effort Monday night for me in terms of a personal appearance. I gotta divert all the energy into this because this is the PlayStation Forecast, and it does come to you each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/pressx to Alex and podcast services around the globe. And if you like what you hear and you want more than just my voice to be heard on this show, you can write in to psforms.pressxtoalex.com, where you can submit questions, comments, trophies, sandwiches, whatever. I don't fucking just open a dialogue. If you want to talk to me about things that aren't video games or just about video games in general away from the show, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/pressxtoalex. And if you want to support the show, this little labor of love, as I've said so many times before, is self-produced and self-funded. So the entire existence solely lives and dies by me. But if you want to help support it and help it grow and help this little podcast that could achieve the ranks that I feel like it can, share it with your friends. If you use a podcast service that you use, subscribe to it. If it warrants, or if it allows you, rather, to write a review, such as you Apple Podcast users, hit the 5 stars, leave a review. I will read them on the show if they're 4 or 5 stars and clean. It helps. It helps the show grow, and that's what I want to do. 26 weeks in, we can't be selfish anymore. if we have been in the first place. I don't know. I haven't been. I am a social media just firebrand with this show. Uh, that's it for me. It's been nice to kind of just play some games for the sake of playing them, not having to generate content around them, not having to make gameplay videos, but I missed that. So once I get Spider-Man put to bed, I have a few games that I want to churn some stuff out for, and then really start honing in towards, the last 3 months of the year, starting to gear up for the end of 2018, start of 2019, really start focusing on what year two of this show is going to look like, what year 1.5 into year two is going to be. Because I have no idea. I'd like to think I do. I have all these ideas, but time is minimal sometimes, and then I just get disappointed because I can't do what I want to do. So in terms of this, like I get to do what I want to do a lot. It's I'm an adult man. I can do things, but yeah, so I'm trying not to get my hopes up, trying not to build anything up too high as we head into the last quarter of the year. But that's enough about that. So without further ado, let's get into the news. One of those weeks, a lot of small stories, not a lot to unpack. So we'll get through these here. It's gonna be just an episode. I think we're just gonna like bang, 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 whatever. So don't make a gif of what I just did. PS4 Firmware 6.0 is out and it improves hardware stability. This is from Stephanie Nunley at VG247. Sony pushed out PS4 Firmware 6.0 today, but don't expect new features to be included. Those firing up their PlayStation 4 today will notice a firmware update ready to be installed. PS4 firmware 6.0 is around 447 megabytes and doesn't include any new features. Much like firmware 5.56, 6.0 only improves system stability. The last firmware update to include new features was 5.5, which added super sampling mode, rearranged the library section, and included other quality of life features. PS4 firmware update 6.0 is available for download now. You will need this update to play online and to log into the network. Consoles left in rest mode will automatically download and apply the update. You probably have it by now. The reason I threw this on here is because it's non-news, it's just a firmware update. My issue with this is I feel like you don't burn the hold number firmware updates on like base level things. I feel like we've grown to expect, and maybe it's our fault to have grown to expect it, but we've grown to expect like your 3.0s, your 4.0s, 5.0s, even the dot fives, the halves and the wholes feel like typically they should be more grandiose in their updates. This feels like it's more of like a 5.68 or some 5.72 firmware update, not really a 6. I mean, I love my firmware updates like I love my relationships with improved performance and increased stability, but it's not a 6.0 update. I maybe that's our, like I said, maybe that's our fault for hyping it up. Some people thought this was going to be the one where the names could change. We're not. You're stuck. You're stuck with that. That awful name you have forever. You're stuck with it. Taco Dragon fucker. It just seems, I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, maybe that's on us. Maybe it's a waste of our expectations. Like, ooh, it's a 6.0. This is gonna be a big one. We're gonna get something cool. And it's just, minor like tweaks here and there. And maybe it could be groundwork for something down the road. I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works. But 6.0 is out and it doesn't really do anything spectacular. Next bit of news is there's more Dishonored hinted at by Bethesda's Pete Hines, as well as Wolfenstein 3 is planned. This is from Smurfy McGee, which has got to be a fake name from old Twinfinite. Let's see. In a Game Central interview published today, Pete Hines of Bethesda confirmed that Wolfenstein 3 would eventually be coming sometime down the line. Pete Hines is the Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Communications at Bethesda. During this interview with the UK outlet, Mr. Hines touched a range of upcoming Bethesda titles, including Doom Eternal, Rage 2, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Fallout 76, Starfield, Elder Scrolls Blades, and The Elder Scrolls 6. Although some of the discussion about future games is understandably a bit vague, Hines was very straightforward in saying that yes, absolutely, saying, quote, absolutely we are making Wolfenstein 3, end quote. No other details were offered besides that confirmation. Earlier in the year at E3, Bethesda announced Wolfenstein Youngblood, a co-op game starring BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters, Jess and Soph, that take place in 1980. Youngblood has a tentative release date of 2019, so Wolfenstein 3 is likely a long way off. I don't know why that says more Dishonored. Maybe I missed some of the article. That's on me. But so it's one of the reasons I put that in here, is Wolfenstein is so when Wolfenstein 2 came out, right? It launched alongside, it was Assassin's Creed Origins and Super Mario Odyssey. And between those three, obviously Wolfenstein was the one that kind of sold the poorest. In terms of what that means in the scope of how Bethesda was viewing it, what their expectations were, I don't know. I'm not a fly on that wall. But I mean, if you're going up against two very mainstream juggernauts like that, it seems like Wolfenstein 2 was going to be the one that was going to get lost in the shuffle. So it's cool to see that it's good. Really, it's good to see the three's plan. It's good to see Bethesda has a lot of single player stuff coming out with, like Doom, even though there's online components, Rage online components, Elder Scrolls 6. Like, they have a lot of irons in the fire, kind of spaced out between single player and multiplayer. But it's positive to see, obviously. So there is that. Bethesda is, again, just that company that's just going to make the games that they want to make, but also the one they know what they're doing, I think, is where I'm going with this. And that clearly Wolfenstein 2 critically was successful enough to warrant it, but it is that game that's always kind of, it was 50% off not too soon after it was released. It's been cheaper here and there. It's being sold as bundles with other games. And that's not bad, whatever gets the game in your library. So clearly there's going to be a continuation of the Wolfenstein franchise going forward, and apparently some Dishonored too. But so Bethesda, still doing what Bethesda do. But more Wolfenstein's coming, but probably just a way off. Even though they're saying that yes, absolutely. It's nice to have the definite, the absolutely we're making this. Moving on, you will be able to play as Persona 5's Joker and Catherine Full Body Edition with the first print DLC. This is from Jamie Payne, also of Twinfinite. Atlas fans are certainly in for a treat when it comes to the new remake of Catherine. Persona 5's protagonist, also known as Joker, will be joining the mix. Unfortunately, he won't be a fourth person that you will be able to date, but will instead be featured as a playable character in the game's Babel and Colosseum modes. Joker will not be the only Persona 5 character stealing players' hearts in the remake, as the rest of the Phantom Thieves will provide commentary when playing as Joker. Joker will only be available to those early birds who pick up the first print copies of the game. That's not all the new full-body news we have, though. The official Japanese website has been updated with a bunch of new details, which have been translated by Gamatsu. The new girl added into the full-body remake, previously only known by her nickname, Ren, but it has been revealed that her full name is Catherine with a Q. Qatherine. The remake will feature online battles for the first time, and will also have new puzzle sequence support features. These features include being able to automatically climb with one button, retry immediately from where you got a game over, automatically undo one step, and skip a puzzle entirely. A limited edition of the game has also been announced, the Catherine Full Body Dynamite Full Body Box to be precise. The Catherine Full Body Dynamite Full Body Box. It comes with the following goodies, translation provided by Gamatsu. Next page. Beep. A copy of the game for PlayStation 4 or PlayStation Vita. Shigenori Shojima illustrated secret box art. Nero glasses with 2 DLC product codes. Catherine Ideal voice set, changed the voice of Catherine in every in-game anime and event scene. A total of 9 voice actors will be included in the set. Catherine's original voice actor, and Mamiko Noto are included with the game for a total of 11 voice actors. The downloadable content will also be sold separately at a later date. special content with the Nero glasses. By wearing this special item in the game, the characters that appear in event scenes and at the bar can all be seen in their sexy nightwear, excluding some scenes. This downloadable content will also be sold separately at a later date. A 4-disc Catherine and Catherine full body soundtrack set, which includes Disc 1, the original soundtrack, Disc 2, the classic arranged soundtrack, Disc 3, the full body original soundtrack, and Disc 4, voice actor roundtable and audio commentary, and a 44-page Catherine full body art book. Furthermore, a new trailer has been released for the game that shows the distress that Vincent will face as the game releases February 14th of 2019. First off, I told you all it was a slow news week if I lumped that in there. Persona 5, not my kind of game. I don't have 100 plus hours to log into something and really just dedicate that much time to. Catherine, I played the demo of and a little bit of the full game when it first came out. I really, really liked it. It was like a really creepy anime dig dug. It actually gave me a nightmare, and then I just never haven't really gotten back to it. Then, unrelated is the nightmare. It's just something that just never worked out. I have the copy. It's somewhere in this room, like my physical copy of it. But it's just, I don't know. Just I think one of those things that by the time I kind of got back into playing games and wanting to get caught up, I wasn't really using the PS3, so it just fell to the wayside. So I may check this out. I may go the Vita route depending on how the frame rate handles and things like that, because that seems like a dicey title to put on the Vita, just in terms of I don't know, how it'll handle and how it'll play. But really cool concept, really cool story from what I got to play of it, and I've enjoyed it. I like the look of it. I like the idea of it. So Catherine fans, first print of the game has a lot, and then you got your full body Dynamite full body box you'll be able to get to as it comes closer to February. Next news is the post-launch details for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and this is from Mikel Reperez on the PlayStation blog. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a huge game, and after it arrives on PS4 on October 5th, Jesus Christ, that's soon, it's going to keep growing. Post-launch content for Season Pass owners will include 2 major new story arcs told across multiple episodes, with each episode releasing approximately 6 weeks apart. Between the releases of the larger episodes, The Lost Tales of Greece will bring a series of new story quests that will be free for all players, and they'll be joined by free in-game events including daily and weekly mercenary contracts. The first major arc, Legacy of the First Blade, launches in December and introduces players in the early predecessors of the Assassins, including the first person to use a hidden blade. In spring 2019, the fate of Atlantis confronts players with creatures straight out of Greek myth and challenges them to discover the secrets of the sunken city. Additionally, Season Pass owners will get Assassin's Creed III Remastered, which includes all of the original game's content, plus Assassin's Creed Liberation Remastered. Both games will support 4K and HDR on PS4 Pro, and sport higher resolution textures, improved lighting, and other visual enhancements. You get the fucking bugs fixed from that game? Goddamn. Before the first post-launch content arrives, Assassin's Creed Odyssey will deliver an epic adventure across ancient Greece, in which you'll match wits with historical figures and mythical monsters. To find out more about what's ahead when the game launches on October 5th, then there's the actual article goes on with an interview with the creative director for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Mr. Jonathan Dumont. I did not include that in there because I wasn't just going to read it back and forth, and you all can read that on your own time. Give the PlayStation blog the clicks it deserves. I'm pretty well established. I don't like Assassin's Creed. I feel like this whole episode's just me being like, I don't like it. Not for me. I don't like this. But Odyssey's been the one that really kind of piqued my interest the most. I love ancient Greece. I love that era. I like, like a lot of the characters in that. It seems like it's leaning more into, mythos and mythology as opposed to just being like, ride your horse. Don't hit anybody on the horse, otherwise you'll get captured. Walk. Don't run, otherwise you'll get captured. And I'm sure Assassin's Creed has drifted away from that, but that's where I left it. And, Origins really seemed to hit with a lot of people. Odyssey seems more like the one I would check out. 3 was really the one that I wanted to get its hooks in me, and it couldn't. It didn't. It was too much technically wrong with that game for me to really like spend a lot of time in there. Uh, then I thought Black Flag may have done it. Black Flag, I just it was at that time. It was in that dark era with me where I just wasn't playing anything. And then Origins just came out when I had too much else going on. It's just the nature of the beast with me in that series. I played the first one, didn't like it, and have never really been able to regain any traction with that franchise. Odyssey would be the one that did it. Now, will I pick it up when maybe it's like $10 in like October of 2019? Maybe. Depends on what else I have going on. But this would be the one, if there's ever an Assassin's Creed, to be like, hey, this one's for you, Alex. Odyssey is the one that would do it. Getting Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered and Liberation Remastered with the DLC is cool. Like I said, I don't know how much technically has been improved upon outside of the visuals. I also feel like we're just out of games to remaster at this point if we're doing Assassin's Creed 3 and Liberation. So I'm tentative on trying Odyssey still. Looks cool. It looks like it's the one that's right up my alley. Looks like the one that's gonna really do it for me. But I'm gonna it's one of those games where it's like I'll wait for reviews. I'll see how other people like it. I'll watch a few people play it. If you follow me on Twitter, I communicate back and forth with a Twitch streamer Bond Diesel. Twitch.tv/Bond Diesel. You can follow him. He does a lot of, if you're a big fan of The Division, he does a lot of Division streams. But he streamed Origins, and I talked to him about it for a little bit. I don't know. I would assume he might do the same with Odyssey. I'm not sure. But either way, give him a follow on Twitch and Twitter. But, especially if you like The Division and his YouTube channel and everything too. Dude is so ingratiated with the Division community. Like, check him out. Baundiesel. As far as Assassin's Creed's concerned, I think there's a lot to really like with what they're doing, how they're rolling it out. The fact that, kind of establishing this with the pre-established, news that there's not going to be one for 2019. So this really has to have a long tail to it. I think is promising, and you're starting to kind of get sniffs of that with the two major DLCs, the free ones that are coming out, then as well as getting 3 in Liberation on top of it. It really seems like they're going to try and, stretch Odyssey out as far as they can before the next one gets announced, probably late 2018 for the 2019 or late 2019 for the 2020 release. What year is it? But that's that. Cool things to be excited about. It's a really cool concept. I really like the idea of the game, like I said. It's not on my buy list. It's definitely on my watch list. Whether it stays there or not, I don't know. It looks cool. Looks like a cool idea. I'm not going to play Origins, though. And it also going to depend on open world fatigue with me. I'm real finicky about those. Open world games and I aren't always the best of friends. So, you got that. Coming from Christopher Dring from GameIndustry.biz, where we're going to spend some time on this site. Tomb Raider, or Shadows of the Tomb Raider, is off to a slow start, in the UK at least. The finale in the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy arrived this week to an underwhelming reception in the UK. Shadow of the Tomb Raider's Week 1 sales are 25% higher than its predecessor, 2015's Rise of the Tomb Raider. However, Rise was an exclusive to Xbox platforms at the time, where Shadow is a full multi-platform release. Compared to the first Tomb Raider reboot in 2013, first week sales are more than 70% down. Of course, these charts don't factor in digital sales, and digital is understood to be taking a larger percentage of the box market compared with 5 years ago. Nevertheless, it's not a huge week 1 for Lara Croft. 63% of launch sales came on PS4, whereas Xbox One accounted for the remaining 37%. Shadow of the Tomb Raider debuts at number 2, which means Spider-Man retains its number 1 spot for the second week. Impressively, the Sony Games Week 2 sales are down just 42% compared to its launch week, and it's already on the brink of eclipsing the sale of the last big PS4 exclusive God of War, box sales only. There's also a new game at number 3 in the form of NBA 2K19. The 2K title charts a place lower than last year's entry, although sales are pretty much identical. 65% of NBA were on PS4, 33% on Xbox One, and 2% on the Nintendo Switch. The big riser this week was The Elder Scrolls Online, which breaks into the top 10 after a significant price cut. Last week's big releases dropped further down the charts. Sales of Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age fell 86% week on week, and the game drops to number 29, whereas Destiny 2 Forsaken sales fell 68%, and the game now sits at 26th. There's one other new release in the charts, NHL 19, which comes in at number 28. So here are your top 10 for the UK charts for the week ending September 8th. It goes number 1, Spider-Man. Number 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Number 3, NBA 2K19. Number 4, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Number 5, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 6, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 7, F1 2019. Number 8, Elder Scrolls Online. Number 4, Lego Incredibles. And number 9, Lego The Incredibles. And number 10, Super Mario Odyssey. Spider-Man just continues to sell. I mean, there's stories coming out about it being hard to find in Japan, just in general. Like it's like actually very difficult to find. It seems like it's not just moving titles either; it's moving systems. It's that exclusive that I don't want to say the system's been needing because it has so many. But this is that one, right? That's like really pushing the console sales. It's gonna hang out. It's that known property that is exclusive to the PlayStation and its ecosystem. It's so far behind that walled garden, which is good. I mean, that's good. Good for Sony. I'm great for Insomniac. Like I can't be happier that not only is this game, being reviewed and received so well, it's commercially successful. It's dominating my Twitter feed. People that I didn't even know that play video games that I'm friends with on Facebook are talking about Spider-Man. It's one of those games that's encapsulated, it's gained such a big audience, and I think it's a word of mouth traveler too. It's very obvious, I think, what the best selling game of the month is going to be in the States. And for September, and we'll know first week of October, both digitally and physically between the PlayStation Store and the NPD numbers when those come out. But I mean, that's going to be one of those things I think is going to linger for a while. Then you've got the DLC, really right around the corner, just a little over a month away, with The City That Never Sleeps, the first part of that, which is the Black Cat entry. It's great to see. Like, I really wanted, I mean, we all, I think, wanted Spider-Man to do well, aside from the people that, didn't. and here we are 10 days after the release, and, it's still all that I'm seeing on Twitter. It's all that I'm seeing on Facebook. It's all that I'm seeing on Reddit. It's all that I'm seeing, in terms of other podcasts I listen to. Like, this game has dominated so much of the conversation that it's really starting to kind of eclipse. And I think that known entity is what's going to propel it past God of War in terms of exclusive sales. Will it eclipse Far Cry 5? Maybe. Will it somehow hold on past Red Dead? Yeah, probably not. But for the time being, it's really in there. I mean, it's that game that you show people to be like, because everyone knows Spider-Man. People know Peter Parker. People know that there's that brand and IP recognition there. And we'll talk about brand and IP recognition, I think, here in a little bit. But it's so detailed. And yes, we're in a state of the industry where it's one of the most gorgeous looking games for now. Like, there's a very good chance that something in a month will come out and be prettier than Spider-Man, or have better face models, better lip syncing, better traversal, better whatever. But for the time being, this is one of the best games I've ever seen. And there were so many moments there that the way that it's, shot, the way that the way the cutscenes actually look, and the way they're directed, and the art in it. Were so many instances where I was like, I love this movie, and it's not. And it's so easy to forget that it's not a game, or that it's a game, that it's not an episode from a TV series. It's not a movie. It's a full on video game that we're playing in 2018, and it's really good. So I think it's gonna hang on there for a little bit. Probably, I would say through September, and then we'll see how October goes once Red Dead's out. Also coming from GameIndustry.biz, Hayden Taylor has a story regarding Treyarch bosses explaining dropping the campaign in Black Ops 4. Studio bosses at Treyarch have shed some light on the decision to forego a traditional single-player campaign in Call of Duty Black Ops 4, or as I've colloquially referred to it as Call of Duty Black Ops III. Speaking during the interview with GameSpot, David Vonderhaar and Dan Bunting touched on the ways in which Black Ops 4 evolved since prototyping and how Treyarch has, quote, built a culture of adaptation, end quote, internally. Bunting said the decision not to include a traditional campaign was more a case of adapting to succeed than it was anything else, saying, quote, the most important aspect of game development is being able to adapt, end quote. If you can't look at something that you're doing honestly and say, this isn't good enough or this isn't what we want and we need to make a change. If you can't do that yourself, then you're not adapting. You're not going to evolve in a way that's going to constantly deliver exciting experiences for your fans. According to Vonderhaar, it wasn't the case of the campaign getting cut, but rather never really having one to begin with. From the outset, Black Ops 4 was intended as being a social experience, Bunting explained. Development is a journey, he said. We try a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things. The game that we were making has evolved over time, and that's just part of the development. I can't remember a single game that we've made that hasn't had a dramatic change in a prototyping stage. That's what prototyping is for. You prototype ideas, some of them work out great, some of them don't work out great, and you pivot. You find a new idea and focus on that. We follow the fun. So, what does that even, what does that mean? Like, you just didn't have one. Just didn't have one in the first. I understand many people don't play the Call of Duty games for the story. You can just derive those numbers from the trophy percentages. But for you to openly be like, I just never really had one. It's just this is what we're doing. This is just how we figure it's gonna be the best way. This to me, for both Treyarch and Activision and Call of Duty as a whole, is such a strange just dice roll for them. Like, it's such a chance they're taking to be like, yeah, hey, most people don't play these games for the story, so let's not include one. And really hope that the people who play it for the story won't be mad. It seems like the closed beta has been really well received, though. So there is that, like for Blackout at least. And it seems like something that a lot of people have said it's like a more polished PUBG. Which, if there's one thing that I've seen that PUBG's lacked, it's a certain level of polish that I think Activision can bring to their games. It's fascinating to see because you see Fortnite's success, you see how that snowballed from Player Unknown Battleground success, and then you're seeing EA get on it with DICE and Battlefield, and then you're seeing Call of Duty just really double down on just nothing but multiplayer. With zombies and Blackout and the other modes I can't remember because it's just all, like I said, a lot of the stuff just runs together the later it gets in the year. Obviously, I want this to do well because I know that the Call of Duty name carries a lot of weight, especially in the shooter genre, and then in the sales and everything too. There's a certain level of expectation that you have for the Call of Duty games, and I think since they've switched to, was it 3 devs now making the games? 3 or 4 dev teams, I think. I think it's 3. You have that ability to take that risk, but I think you run a greater chance of poisoning the well for your brand. It seems like a lot of people similar to that play like 2K or NBA 2K rather, or play FIFA or play, in this case, Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever. You have your dog in that fight. You have your hat in that ring, and you're like, oh man, even though it sucks, like, oh, this doesn't look good, you're gonna buy it. Like, I talk a lot about my time in gaming retail, and there were so many people that would come in and I'd have to try and hard sell them on pre-order in a Call of Duty game or a Battlefield game or Madden or NBA 2K, and it was always, oh no, that game's trash. That game's trash. It's been trash for this year. Like, and it's like, dude, like I was here when you bought it last year, and I'm gonna be here when you buy it again this year, and they knock it, and they're oh, this is garbage. It's a terrible game. And then they're there on launch night, like, I'm getting it. I'm a puppet. Uh, and so you wanted to do well, because since somewhere along the lines it feels like it's lost its way, like it literally changed the game with Modern Warfare 2, and then really strayed away from it, as we got to like Infinite Warfare, and then Ghosts kind of really seemed like it was a swing and a miss just overall. Uh so hopefully this is them getting some ground with some boots on them, so we can stop using that as a phrase. And hopefully this works out. I don't know if this is going to be a situation where a campaign is patched later, if it's like next August and they're maybe in like March or something like that, like, and here's the campaign for Black Ops 4. But I don't I it's a situation too with me, and I said this months ago on this show, and I'm so glad I can say I'm so glad we've been doing this long enough that I can say months ago. But it was months ago where I said, why even call it Black Ops 4 if it's not tied to the Black Ops story? Like, it's I'm sure rich with Black Ops lore, and they're gonna do X, Y, and Z the Black Ops way. But what does that mean? And why not just Call of Duty Blackout? Like, what? Make it feel different, make it feel new, that breath of fresh air. Again, I'm not a business guy, I'm not a marketing guy. I don't know. This is just me spitballing to you as you listen and or watch this on youtube.com/pressxdialects and podcast services around the globe, including Spotify. It's like, there's this quote here, that's what prototyping is for. You prototype ideas, some of them work out great, some of them don't work out great, and you pivot. You find a new idea and focus on that. We follow the fun. And it seems like this was just a situation where maybe the development of this game is really messy. Like the whole story behind how it was getting made, maybe just something didn't work out or something was broken, and they're like, we can't get this fixed in time, like to meet the deadline of getting this out. I don't know. I don't feel like we know everything there is to know about Black Ops 4, and this is a story I hope is as interesting as it seems like it might be. Uh, but we'll see when it comes out. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully it's successful, and the momentum that's kind of being drummed up from the closed beta with Blackout is indicative of positive things for things to come. Next up, also coming from Rebecca Valentine at GamesIndustry.biz, PlayStation is the third most recognized brand in the UK. Profit's Brand Relevance Index for 2018 has just been published, revealing that PlayStation has jumped 6 places from its spot at number 9 last year to being the third most relevant brand in the UK. It was beaten out only by Apple at number 1 and Lego at number 2. Brand and marketing consultancy Profit surveyed 11,500 consumers in the UK, about 240 brands across 27 categories, to come up with its relevancy rankings. PlayStation's third place spot puts it as the only gaming focused company in the top 10, though other companies with video game related initiatives scored highly, including Apple in the top spot and other companies such as Google at number 4, Amazon at number 8, and Android at number 10. Nintendo ranked at number 11, 2 spots higher than last year with the continued success of the Nintendo Switch. Xbox meanwhile dropped 6 spots to number 17 as PlayStation has continued to pile on new console exclusive announcements and releases. Quote, our for the players customer-centric focus means we continue to develop award-winning content such as Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, and God of War, all of which are only available on PlayStation, end quote, said Usama Al-Kassab, PlayStation VP of Marketing. Quote, exclusive content is married with investment in innovative new ways to play, such as 4K HDR, VR, PlayLink, PlayStation Now, our streaming platform, and our community, PlayStation Plus. This enables players to compete or cooperate with one another and enjoy a unique, instant, and immersive experience every day, so PlayStation can remain the best place to play, end quote. The results of the brands in the US have also been published, though gaming had a much more muted presence in that list. In a survey of 12,694 customers on 299 brands, Apple still took the number one spot. However, the first console brand is PlayStation at number 13, Xbox is down at number 25, Nintendo is not listed in the US survey result, though Electronic Arts is at number 34. I just thought that was cool. I love shit like that. So I just wanted to throw that in there for my own personal enjoyment. Uh, it ties back to what I was saying with Spider-Man, right? When you have that recognized brand, that recognized IP, especially in the success that they've had with the PS4 and the for the players, customer-centric focus that Mr. Alcazar was talking about. You see that success where there is that direct marriage between exclusive titles and the investment of your money. Like every time a new console comes out, when PS4 and Xbox One were both announced, I pre-ordered both of them. Pre-ordered them both through Amazon because I'm not flush with cash, and I knew I was going to have to pick one, but it was going to be I wasn't going to be charged until it shipped, you know. But I had a few months to determine like where my allegiances were going to lie. And I think there's also that whole like the devil situation, but I mean like I loved my 360 for a really 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 long time. Like that was my console of choice ahead of the PS3. And then I just kind of flipped one day and I was like, "Oh yeah, cool. Like there's more games I want to play in the PS3 now." And it stuck with that with the PS4. I'm like, there's definitely more games I want to play that are exclusively tied to the PlayStation 4. And if there are multi-platform games, I've already got the system I can play them on. Uh, it is stuff like Horizon and Spider-Man and God of War and Detroit and at the time when it came out for initially Crash. And I mean, for a lot of people, there's Neo, there's Bloodborne. There's so many Ratchet and Clank. There's so many exclusives. You've even got Last Guardian. You've got Shadow of Colossus. I could keep doing this and not get tired. You would, maybe. It's just me listing things. That's not why you're here. At least I don't think so. But you get that sense of investment when you're plucking down, at launch $400 for a console. Here we are coming up on, Jesus Christ, 5 years later, and you feel satisfied with that investment. Like, yeah, like my money has gone, that $400 up front has gone the distance in terms of what they've delivered since November of 2013. And I think that lends itself to becoming more recognizable because I think brand recognition equals trust unless you're in the US and Electronic Arts is positioning itself at number 34. But it's a reason I think why PlayStation right now is number one in terms of games in both the US and the UK. And I think it's going to continue to be that way. It's going to be interesting as we inch ever closer to the next generation if we're going to see cocky Sony rear its heads or if they're going to kind of double down on this messaging and be like, hey, look, like we're going to keep doing what we're doing. This is where we're at. This is what got us here. This is what got us to the dance. We're going to dance with the person that brought us because life is a dance and you should dance, 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 dance. Last bit of news kind of leading into a divisive topic I wanted to bring up. Small news story, but there's an underlying current to it I want to get to. Poker Night 2 has been removed from the digital stores. This comes straight from Telltale's website. Poker Night 2 has been withdrawn from sale on digital platformers due to the expiration of our digital distribution agreement. We currently do not have any plans to renew this agreement. If you have already purchased this title digitally, please read the following instructions on how to access it on your platform. It then goes into how to access it on your platform. So, on the surface level, most people probably don't even remember Poker Night 2. One second, I'm going to take a drink of water. Oh, that's good. But, so Poker Night 2 was a Telltale game. Specifically, I think it was 2. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But it was a Texas Hold'em game where you played poker against the big muscular guy from Venture Brothers, Ash from Evil Dead, Sam and Max, and I think Claptrap, and the dealer was GLaDOS. That sounds awesome, right? Like, I don't know why people would forget this game existed. I really enjoy Poker Night too. I've thrown down some time on it. I haven't like learned poker from it. I'm not good at poker. Uh, but so that game was released exclusively digital, and this isn't the first time we've seen this. We saw it on the Xbox Live Arcade with the Turtles games. We've seen it with the PlayStation 3 with Scott Pilgrim. We've seen it now with Poker Night. We've seen it on PS4 with PT. The question is as the future gets ever more closer to being digital, are I had posed a question on Twitter, was whether or not digital games were sort of a non-customer friendly dystopia. Uh, a whole 9 people voted, because that's how polls work when you have a small Twitter following at twitter.com/pressxdialects. And 44% of the people said yes, digital is inevitable. My whole question was, do you believe in the digital future of video games? 33% said no, physical or bust. 23% replied that they were unsure, with Dan replying to the tweet saying, with so many games being released today with day one patches that fix game breaking issues and or add advertised features, I'm not sure it matters. If those patches get pulled, doesn't matter if you have a physical copy. So with patches, I don't think it necessarily affects anything. I think it's a situation where you have so many games up front that are digital only. Say, for example, Donut County. I you know, on paper, someone paid money for Donut County, and one day, at any given time, with or without notice, they could get on their system, and Donut County could not be there. When you're buying a game digitally, if you read the whole rigmarole that's thrown down before you, you're basically just getting a lease. You're leasing the game, and under the pretense that at any point it could stop working, it could not be available on the store anymore. If you missed your chance to get it, you missed your chance, and it may not come back up. And we've seen that with Scott Pilgrim, I think most recently than Poker Night, but like with the Turtles games and things like that, where it is a situation where once it's gone, it's gone. Like you can't get PT anymore unless you already have it and you've downloaded it. Like if I uninstalled PT from my PS4, I no longer have PT. And there's nothing I can do about it. Uh, I got into a debate of sorts with a buddy of mine, because he and another friend host 48 Minutes, a NBA podcast, and we got to talking about 2K coming out. And I am insistent on sports games being something you purchase digitally. One, because it preloads and it's ready to go at midnight. I think that's great. I love that because the 2K games have nightmare install times, and not enough people talk about what a just fucking arduous chore that is to have to wait through. The other thing is, sports games hold almost little to no resale value outside of the first 30 days that they're out. You can maybe get 30, $35 for it at GameStop within the first month if you put it towards another game that's coming out. Other than that, you're looking at 20, 25, and it just goes down from there as more and more get traded in throughout the year. They don't retain any value, and sports games in particular are, to me, just shelf clutter. So unless they're just generously discounted, I try to focus my sports games as being digital. It just makes the most sense. When the year is up, I uninstall it. I'm not going to go trade it into GameStop for $5. Like that's not gonna. What's that to me? But certain games, I do think there are merits to own physically. Some of which, like Spider-Man, God of War, Ratchet and Clank, the Uncharted franchise, Mass Effect. Certain games that I genuinely love, like stuff I want to display. Like I'm not mad that I don't have a physical copy of Donut County. If there was a physical copy of Donut County, It's earned my love. I would get a physical copy of it. But like I got a digital copy of Fire Pro, and one day that might not work anymore. And so it's such a give and take with the digital future, because I can understand where a lot of consumers are not cool with it, because it is a risk, because things like this do happen, because one day you could be paying the price of, you deleted that game 6 years ago and you want to go download it again, and all of a sudden you can't, and you're hosed. Like, that's, sorry about your luck. uh in that case, digital sucks. Like, that's a it's terrible. It's a bad plan. No one wins except for the developer and publisher that got your money at the initial purchase for the game that you, unbeknownst to you at the time, leased, not purchased. You don't own the digital game. It's just in your library, and at any point it can go. PT being the prime example, that thing came and went, and PS4s on eBay were selling for $1,100 because it had PT on it, cut from the same ilk as iPhones that had Flappy Bird on it, and Flappy Bird height and craze. The benefits to me for what digital games bring, outside of the fact that I don't have to get up to change discs, which is awesome, it's cuts down on clutter. It's that certain like immediacy, that instant gratification. Like I said, certain things I think warrant having a physical display, and I will never go 100% digital until the systems come out that are like, no more discs, we're done, digital only. Then I won't have a choice. But there will always be games I want to have physical, tangible copies of, because I want to permanently own them. And I think that's the other thing is, my buddy raised the argument that I still have my Dreamcast games, specifically my NBA 2K and 2K1 for the Dreamcast. And my argument there was, it was 1999 and digital games didn't exist. And the other thing was that, I mean, that was really it. I mean, that's a big argument, is that was my only option, were physical copies. But they're they still aren't expensive. Like, I can go on eBay and get a copy of NBA 2K or 2K1 on the Dreamcast, probably case, manual, and disc, for $10. It's about what I would pay for NBA 2K16, maybe 17, probably 16 at GameStop now for a physical copy. So they don't maintain a long life, and that's why for sports games I am an ardent person. Like, be like, just get the digital version. Yeah, and if you're going to put the time in, if it's something like, if you're unsure about this year's Madden, buy it physically so you can trade it in within the first month, and pocket $30 towards something else. Or, you know, a lot of places have used game that sell used games have policies where if you buy it used, you can bring it back for a full refund in a week. But there's, I think right now, there's enough safety nets in place to say, hey, like, you can kind of eat your cake and have it too, with the physical versus digital argument. Uh, if you are a collector, there's still plenty of games to get physically. Uh, and even through sites like limited run games, you can get stuff like Firewatch, or you could at the time get Firewatch or fucking Night Trap. Uh, and then stuff like Dead Cells has a physical release, if like you really want to get a physical copy of Dead Cells, which has crossed my mind. Uh, it's The market is still there. It hasn't fully turned. But there is stuff, like I said, games like Donut County, games like, I was gonna say Reverie, but Reverie had a limited physical run on Vita, as did Sir Eats a Lot. And that's one, as the Vita starts to sunset, swooping up a bunch of physical Vita games, if you're especially if you're a resale collector, is gonna have a lot of merit to you here in probably like a year or two. But it's such a back and forth uh argument to be made where I think each side has its own merits and its own clout and its own points to make. Right now, I'm leaning like 60-40 digital, where like I'll see a game like, yeah, cool, like I don't want that, like I want to play that, I want to have that, I want to own that game. I have finite amount of shelf space, and I don't think it warrants a spot on my shelf. Like I said, if Limited Run comes out and they're like, we're gonna do physical copies of Donut County, you bet your Ohio ass I'm going to have one. Like I will go out of my way to make sure I get that, especially if it comes with the soundtrack, and the soundtrack maybe put it on vinyl, please, if you're listening, Josh at Limited Run Games. It's that soundtrack's awesome. I totally just went like a million miles away thinking about the weird Donut County song with the duck quack that sounds like a record scratch over and over again. Listen to it, it's awesome. Uh, but there's a lot of games that are only digital and great games, and it sucks that sometimes that's going to be the only way you play it. And there may be a day that I turn my PS4 on and I'm going to have not remembered deleting Firewatch, and I'm going to go download Firewatch, and it's like, you can't have Firewatch, and I'm going to, I paid $15 for Firewatch, play Firewatch. And then there are some games where I'll buy digitally and not be like, yeah, I'll buy them digital, whatever. If I don't like them, I can delete them. And then I just want the physical copies. Case in point, the Danganronpa series. Like, I don't have physical copies of those, and I'd like to get them before I can't anymore. Specifically on the Vita, actually, if I could get the physical copies for. No, I have those digitally. Son of a bitch. But I've wanted to talk about getting the Reload and then Danganronpa 3 on PS4, but that's down the road. I think there's concessions that need to be made, is where I'm going with this. Is it an anti-consumer dystopia? To an extent, but we're not there yet, just the same as we're not there as it being the only option. If you're a physical collector, I think down the road, heading into this, not maybe this generation, but the following generation, I think it's going to be a bit more of a finite resource for you. But that's where we're at currently. I think it's easy to go 50-50 down the line. Just it's contingent on what you're into, the games you like, and what you want to display. To each their own. Upcoming releases are now where we are at. So new games and dates. I had missed some from the Weird Tokyo Game Show announcement, so I've got some mixed in here with that. We're just going to burn through these real fast here. Tetris Effect is coming to PS4 and PSVR November 9th. The Last Remnant Remastered is coming to PS4 December 6th. Judge Eyes, the new game coming from Sega and the Yakuza team, is coming in 2019. There's a 51-minute gameplay or 51-minute presentation video that you can find on the PlayStation Japan YouTube channel. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered is coming to PS4 in 2019, and those are the new games I have for you. So if you want to know what's going to be on the PlayStation Store once you're done with this episode, then it's time we do the drop, which means it's also time we take a look at maybe for the worst cover art of the week. And we're off to a great start with 8-Bit Armies as it comes to PS4, digital, and retail out September 21st. Welcome to the fast-paced combat of 8-Bit Armies. Collect resources, build up, and defend your base. Research devastating super weapons, and crush your opponents in an epic clash of firepower. Anodyne comes to PS4 digital. Immersed in a moody, dreamlike soundtrack, explore a world full of natural, urban, and abstract environments, solving puzzles and defeating enemies with a broom. Ooh, that's... I do not get that at all from that cover art. Alright, Anodyne takes the lead. Blind comes to PSVR digital. Blind is a narrative-driven psychological thriller for virtual reality where the player is blind and must explore their surroundings using echolocation. Interesting use of VR. The Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle. Relive the glory days of cooperative arcade games with the Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle. This comprehensive collection includes 7 classic games, each with various multiplayer options, online capabilities, and detailed galleries. If you're wondering, those 7 games are Final Fight, Captain Commando, The King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, and Warriors of Fate, as well as 2 games that were previously unavailable on consoles, Armored Warriors and Battle Circuit. The Door comes to PSVR digital September 21st. Holed up in a secret lab in the Dark Forest, Dr. Jacob devoted himself to research in the lab he created to treat his terminally ill daughter. One day, he is trapped in the lab and everything begins to change. Downward Spiral Horus Station comes to PSVR digital. Downward Spiral Horus Station is a mysterious and atmospheric zero-gravity thriller set in the lost and forgotten Horus Station. Fishing Sim World comes to PS4 digital and retail. Fishing Sim World is the most authentic fishing simulator ever made. Feel the adrenaline rush of landing a trophy largemouth bass and the thrill of fighting huge carp and monster pike. The Gardens Between comes to PS4 digital September 20th and is your Alex Derrickson-ass game of the week. The Gardens Between is a surreal puzzle adventure that follows best friends Arena and Frent as they fall into a mysterious world of beautiful garden islands. Hover, Revolt of Gamers comes to PS4 digital. Experience the thrills of a fast-paced single and multiplayer parkour game. Assemble your team, enhance your gear, and perform incredible tricks and combos. Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk comes to PS4 digital and retail. Dusk Witch Dranya and her young apprentice Luca have come to Refrain to conquer the sprawling labyrinth deep beneath the town. Wondrous treasures, terrifying monsters, and buried secrets await. Legendary Fishing comes to PS4 digital and retail. Experience the thrill of catching over 20 different types of fish, from king salmon to largemouth bass. Includes unlockable gear, missions, multiple destinations, and hours of fun, solo or with friends and family. I was really hoping this one would be like, it's the most realistic fishing simulator in the world. Clearly that title is officially taken. My Brother Rabbit comes to PS4 digital out September 21st. An adventure set in a surreal world that mixes reality with a child's imagination. A young, sick girl is left with her brother when her parents set out to find treatment. These children must learn to cope together through the power of imagination. That was my second pick for Alex Derrickson-ass game of the week. Neon Wall, and I feel like I just talked about this one last week, comes to PSVR digital. Escape your way out Neon Wall by solving puzzles and overcoming a variety of challenging levels. Over the course of the game, you will need a combination of skill, concentration, and precision to be victorious. RGX Showdown comes to PS4 digital. It's you against the world as you race through traffic and teeth-gritting edge of your seat street races. Climb the ranks, unlock cars and customizations, and claim your championship title. All hell, Scribblenauts Mega Pack comes to PS4 digital and retail. Get the best of Scribblenauts with Scribblenauts Mega Pack. 2 classic games with all new content. Use the power of your imagination to solve exciting puzzles in endless ways. Speed Brawl comes to PS4 digital. Speed Brawl is a 2D combat racer about moving fast and hitting hard. Maintain your momentum, build your combos, and unleash powerful special moves. Then do it all again, faster, faster, faster. Splody comes to PS4 digital. Classic couch competitive bomb-dropping action gameplay brought into the modern era. Place bombs, get out of the way, destroy your friends, collect power-ups, splode your way to victory in a variety of game modes adapted from smooth multiplayer. Toon War comes to PS4 digital out September 20th. Your mission is to liberate peaceful villages from evil forces and eliminate enemies, and win over dangerous bosses. Toon War is a twin-stick shooter game with colorful and vivid graphics and is the worst cover art of the week. It is a green truck with a 3-gun situation, and it looks like a cannon? It's really, if I can't describe what's on top of the truck, it's a Trigun and a cannon. Transference comes to PSVR digital. This is the Elijah Wood VR game. Jump into escape room set in a deranged mind and experience a first-person exploration game in a chilling new dimension. Shift between 3 perspectives and attempt to unravel the mystery hiding in this mind-bending psychological thriller. Another game I feel like I talked about last week, Trickster VR Dungeon Crawler, comes to PSVR Digital, a procedurally generated fantasy adventure starring floating islands, epic loot, and a horde of orcs. Try your skill against orc combat expertise, ancient magic, and ragtag airships. Unearthing Mars comes to PSVR Digital. As Deputy Commander in the Unearthing Mars mission, you are trying to unravel the secrets hidden in the Phobos fragment. Through the ARC device, experience a war across space and return to Earth and Mars of ancient times. Warframe comes to PS4 Digital. I'm sorry, Warface. Warface comes to PS4 Digital. Warface is a contemporary first-person shooter with millions of fans around the world. 4 unique classes with special skills, teamwork, exciting PvE missions, and full raids, various PvP modes with dozens of maps. Play for free. Those are your releases for this week, which brings us to trophy time. But first, Big Travis Tubesing writes in to the PlayStation Forecast at psforms.pressxtoalex.com, just like you can, after I pose the question of whether or not games like My Name is Mayo and Energy Cycle really count. He says, do easy platinums count? If not, why did I play Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Seriously, I platted that, and I don't regret it. While I can't say that it was a particularly enjoyable game, the act of trophy hunting was. I can't tell you how many hours of fun that were spent talking, planning, and joking about trophies with my buddies. So yeah, they definitely count. At least just as much as any other imaginary gaming accomplishment we've bragged about since we were kids. Wise words from a wise man. I fancy myself a bit of a trophy purist. Yes, mine were riddled with Telltale games or whatever, but I didn't have like the My Name is Mayos or at one point Energy Cycle and things like that. I always thought like I'd pick those games up, and if I ever shifted, if my paradigm on trophies ever really just shifted and tilted a little bit into the realm of it doesn't matter, I have those games ready to go just to get that itch and just satisfy that craving for the plings and the plucks of the trophies when they pop. And here I am. I'm there. And I'm going to platinum My Name is Mayo twice sometime soon, probably after I get done with Spider-Man. You don't take them with you when you die. Nobody gives a shit. It's not going to matter. Platinum the shitty games, run up the trophy score. Who gives a shit? They matter. They count. Going into trophy talk. Scribblenauts Mega Pack has 40 bronze, 2 silver, 4 gold, and a platinum. Remember, we are on the hunt for easy platinum trophies. Ooh, the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle has a bronze and 10 silver. That's it. Transference has 13 bronze and a gold. Gnome's Garden has 7 bronze, 4 silver, and a gold. Your Toy has 6 bronze, 9 silver, 7 gold, and a platinum. So we'll take a look at that one. Yeah, that looks like where we are at for a chance at easy platinums. Legendary Fishing, 16 bronze, 12 silver, 5 gold, and a platinum, which means we need to look at the most greatest fishing game on the planet if the trophies are out for it. The Fishing Sim World. Ooh, 8 bronze, 10 silver, 7 gold, and a platinum. So let's take a look here. Scribblenauts. Let's see, bring 8 Stardust to Lily, 12, 16, 24, 30, 56. Complete all object shards and clothes category. A lot of collectibles. Get all 217 object shards. Yeah, I don't think that one's not going to be one you get done quick. Let's take a look at Your Toy. Get out from the cubicle. Turn off the lights for 5 times. Achieve QTE success for the first time. Pull the camera 5 times. Pick up 3 items. Knock off all tiles. Successfully repair the hairdryer. Enter the normal bedroom for the first time. Found the key to the cave by breaking the light bulbs. Killed by toy 3 times. End the nightmare. I can't tell you if that's easy or not. Those don't help. Legendary Fishing has, let's see, caught 1 fish, caught 10 fish, 100 fish, 1,000 fish. That's a gold if I've ever seen one. Caught 10,000 G worth of fish, 100,000 G worth of fish, 1,000,000 G worth of fish. Caught 100 super big fish. Completed 70% of autumn missions. Own all reels, own all rods, own all flies, own all. So a lot of collectibles, a lot of owning everything. Collect a lot of legendary fish. Ugh, doesn't seem like that's going to be an easy one. Seems like it's a bad week for easy trophies, easy platinums at least. Fishing Sim World, caught 100 fish, caught 250, caught 50 wing over 25, caught a total of 200 fish, caught a total of 50 trophy fish, sorry. Ooh, yeah, so this is not a good week for easy platinums, but they're out there. If you go to psnprofiles.com/games, you can maybe find an easy platinum that I glossed over. But as we end a trophy talk, that means we have come to the end of yet another episode. Thank you again for joining me. This is the PlayStation Forecast, and it does come to you each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on youtube.com/pressx2alex and podcast services around the globe. Thank you every week for tuning in, watching, listening, however you consume this show. If you want to talk to me outside of here, because I'm just talking at you for an hour, follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/pressx2alex. Subscribe on the podcast service of choice. Subscribe on YouTube. I'm going to try and start getting more videos out here in the next couple weeks because I need to get caught up. Yeah, that's it for me, y'all. So until next week, thanks for watching or listening. I'll see you next time. Do the thing.